So it's my pleasure today to introduce to you Mr. Antavius Weems. He gave me this bio, and it's this little piece of paper here, and I'll read some of this. He was the president of the Georgia Alliance for the come on for African American attorneys. He was a child advocate attorney at the Fulton County Juvenile Court. He opened his own law firm, the Weems Firm. He's received numerous awards: the Judge Damon Keith Award, the Distinguished Alumni Award from Whitney Young School of Social Work, the President Willie Lovett Award from the Gate City Bar Association. Mr. Weems has an outstanding career, but this little piece of paper doesn't really reflect who Antavius Weems is. You know, it's two dimensional. Because I know Antavius Weems, I know him in three dimensions. So Antavius Weems comes from Carver Homes, and he worked hard through high school, went to college at Clark, then got your MSW at Clark, then went to law school in Michigan, came back to his hometown and opened a law firm. He advocated for children. He started a mentoring program for juvenile adults. But most of all, Antavius Weems fights for everyone that he loves, whether that be his community, his family, his friends. That's how I know Antavius Weems. He was one of the first people that I met when I moved to Atlanta, Georgia, and we've been close friends ever since. I'm proud to call him my friend. I'm proud to call him my brother. I'm proud to say that he's a man that I truly love because he's been there, and I know that he will continue to be there. So I asked him to speak to all of you about the scams that you may encounter as you get older. There's a lot out there because we know that computer and technology literacy may be slightly different because there's just a lot to keep up with. How many of you have ever heard of a CPN? I saw two hands. That's a scam, and you haven't heard of it, right? Now, what about advanced directives? You know what? We were just talking last night, Mr. Weems and I, about how some people don't think they can afford to do this. Right? But before you have that mindset, you need to learn how to protect yourself. So this is an opportunity to talk to a lawyer before you have an issue, to hear what he has to say. So it's an absolute pleasure to introduce this man. Come on up here, Doc. Come on up here, man.
How's everybody this morning? So, first of all, thank you to Dr. Trammell for having me. I was so excited to be invited and asked to speak. I'm asked to speak a number of places, but when you're a friend, somebody who's like a friend, a fraternity brother, and client asks you to speak, you get a little nervous about what to say. So I had all this stuff, packaged up. My staff sent over my bio, and then he gets up here and he just tells y'all that I drink too much coke, and he ruins it for me, right? So I decided I'll be paid a favor. I'm just gonna ruin it for him. Uh, So first of all, I'm gonna tell you that today's his birthday. Happy birthday to you. Oh, here you go.
I cannot think of a better way to spend my 50th birthday than was my best friend and all of you, because you are my future.
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. Happy birthday, Doc. So what I thought about when I talked to him yesterday, and he called and he really did rag me about this thing. He let me have it. No, this ain't you. You can call him home. He ain't got it on here. I see Tony Braxton, but I don't see Carl home. Right. So I said, well, I'll change it. And I called him tomorrow. I said, who do you want them to meet? He said, I want them to meet Antavius, but I want them to know the stuff that Attorney Wings knows. So, and when I walked in here, and I looked at the room, I said, now I get it, because I'm looking around this room and I see people who look just like me. And then I'll tell y'all, I went, I went to Clark, Atlanta, and I went back a couple Octobers ago for homecoming. And if any of y'all ever been to a homecoming at HBCU, it's a different experience. Life changing, isn't it? Got one coming up next month, right? So I was at the step show, and they played that song. And here I go. I'm seeing them young boys out there, and I'm just gotta get the move. But I know I can't stand up because I hadn't took my Motrin before I came. So, but then one of them young boys looked at me and said, "Come on, OG." I looked around. Who are you talking to? So now I got to show them. So I'm out there and I'm doing verticals. I'm up in the air, I'm turned around, and then I come down in his left and he said, "No, bro, we're not gonna do that tonight." So after they picked me up, and helped me to my car, and it didn't help that that night I had decided that I wanted to drive I have two cars, and I wanted to drive my Cadillac. So as soon as they saw the Cadillac, OG got an L dog up here. I was like, man, I'm never gonna live this down. So I'm happy because I'm gonna just say y'all OGs too. So I'm happy to be here with all the OGs, right? So what I thought to do, I said, what I want to do today is, my dad died on December 6th of 2023. And I was the person who discovered him. And so one of the things that I was not able to do is to get the opportunity to talk to him about all the changes that are happening in my body. So y'all get it today. Because I need answers. I need some answers. I need some dang answers. And my mama is tired. Mama, please wave your hand, stand up. My mama's tired of me calling and asking her what has happened to me and what is going on. Marjorie Weems, my mother, my loving mother, and I love her so much, and I thank her for being here. But she said, "I'm glad you're gone because I'm so sick of you calling. You're experiencing menopause, boy. You're experiencing menopause." And I said, "But I'm not supposed to get it. Am I supposed to get it? Well, why ain't nobody tell me?" So I will listen. That's probably right. So I wake up and I'm in these sweats, and then I get cold. That's normal. Is that what that's called? And then I had to go, and the dentist got to redo my veneers. Is that part of it? And then I got this bald spot that's coming up right here. That part of it? Well, I guess benefit for the bargain. Y'all don't gave me all I need to know, so it's time for me to tell y'all what I want y'all to know. First of all, I would be remiss if I did not recognize my good friend, the Honorable Phil Jackson. Thank you, sir. Good to see you. Good to see you, Judge. So, that's right, you did. He grew up in High Point, which is right across the street from Carver Home. And I've known this man ever since I started practicing law. He will tell you some stories about me. Do not believe not a single word. I would appear before him as a young attorney, and he's on the bench, and he would just educate me. Always nicely, but he educated me, rubbed some of those rough edges off. But there are an incredible amount of scams that certainly are going on. But the ones that I think impact us the most is that as Black men, we use our lives, for the most part, taking care of people. That's what we do. We're born to protect. We're born to bear a burden. Oftentimes when I'm talking to young brothers, I say, and they say, "Well, I don't understand why it's like that. I don't understand why I gotta do it. I just don't get it. I don't know." as long as you are African American with a penis, you will live this life. As soon as you get in the car and a police officer get behind you, you need to do 10 and 2 it out, right? So, but the other things that we are finding is that a lot of us are being subjected to scams based on lack of knowledge. In the healthcare industry during COVID, what occurred is, and I'm sorry, I just have to say it, is that a lot of healthcare organizations, and I'm the chairman of West Care, Georgia, which is a healthcare organization. So I speak in my capacity, but also just as an advocate. They began to use COVID to punish families. You know, COVID became that disease that isolated you from everybody, and then it tried to kill you. And we all were impacted. We all know somebody who perished from that. And when they went to the hospital and you dropped them off and you got your mask on, the first thing they said to you at the door was what? You can't come in. And we're not far from that now, even though we're far removed from COVID, where we still don't have the same access to healthcare. It's almost as if they're still saying to us, you can't come in. Because oftentimes we don't know what's happening with our bodies, as I stated. Oftentimes we don't know what's happening with the phone calls we're getting. When we're getting that phone call from the people with the extended warranty, right? Or something's happening to you. And the first time I had my colonoscopy, and the lady said, do you have an advanced healthcare director? And I was like, I do, but why do I need it? So I did need it. Yeah, I needed it apparently, right? Judge is shaking his head. I needed it. So, but I didn't understand why I needed that, because in my opinion, everybody told me it was a simple process. The day before it was going to be horrible, but the night after I'd be okay. I'd be able to eat that steak, right? So, but the problem that I found is when I was thinking about it and I began to research it, 74% of African American men do not know what an advance directive is. 74%. That's high. But we don't know what it is because we don't know it exists in oftentimes. Same as a will, same as a trust. And we're going to talk about what the difference is of those and how we can identify which one that we might want to utilize as opposed to the other. But when you're talking about your health, I would always encourage you to utilize that document. Oftentimes, you will learn that if you call the social worker, and every hospital has a social worker or a healthcare advocate, if they call it. Now, your healthcare advocate may work for the hospital, but he or she does not have to. Your healthcare advocate can be somebody you love and trust. And don't let anybody tell you otherwise. But if you need an advanced healthcare directive, just ask the hospital for one, because they oftentimes will have stacks of them ready to give to you. But if you don't have one and then you go under, or they put you under, who makes that decision if something needs to be done? I have a friend of mine who had a husband who went down to, he rode motorcycles and went down, was driving a motorcycle to Alabama. Apparently there's some place in Alabama where you ride the motorcycle to a peak and then you turn around and come back near Birmingham. And he's riding his motorcycle and all of a sudden he has an accident and he perishes. And he's just turned 49 when this happened to him. Didn't even make it to 50. And so his wife calls me and says, I don't know what to do. He handled everything because we're born to protect. And I said, well, tell me, what's going on? What do you need now? She said, I don't even know how to pay the light bill. He's not even cold, and she's already trying to figure out how I'm gonna pay this light bill. How much? Because he worked for Coca-Cola, so he did fairly well for himself and for the family. But so she said, I don't even know how I'm going to get down to where he is to get his body back. I don't know how to do any of that. So I'm helping her to go down to Alabama. Now we get down to Alabama, and she sees the doctor. The doctor walks up to her, and the first thing she does is she hauls off and hits the doctor in the face. because the doctor operated on her husband before she got there, and he died under anesthesia. And the last conversation she had with him was, I'll wait till you get here before I make any decisions. The doctor comes out and says, we had to go in, things are happening fast. He had an aortic something tear of some sort, and if we had not acted, he wouldn't have been here, but he died anyway. And so she hits him, hits her. And when she hits her, of course, doctor calls police. She goes to a Birmingham jail and writing a letter from the Birmingham jail like Dr. King. but we get her out, but this is someone who is a master's level social worker who owns her very own chain of daycares in the state of Georgia. But she was lost because we are built to protect. So in the event that you're going into the podiatrist, wherever you go for your health care, please get this advanced directive and fill it out. If you have any problems filling it out, call your family, call your friends, call my office. We do them every day for people. We charge a little bit, but we do them. But no, but we seriously though, it's a very important document because what it says is, this is the person who I'm putting in place to make decisions for me if I cannot make decisions for myself. If I'm under, or if I'm standing here looking at everybody and I can't talk, this is who I want, who I nominate. Yes. Not necessarily. And that's important for you to know. Because what happens is, and I've seen this, somebody goes to the hospital, they need something medically done, and your family walks in with power of attorney because you're already under. And they say, I got a power of attorney. I don't authorize you to do what you want to do. And then you have a medical team that'll say, well, power of attorney is not good enough. Need advanced directive health care. That medical power of attorney is an advanced directive. So it's a great question, because if it's drafted well with all the information, it says, this is who I nominate. And not only this is who I nominate, but this is what I nominate them to do. If the doctor makes a determination that I am less than 30%, have a 30% chance of recovering from whatever the ailment is, then I nominate this person to make a decision that I should get no more care. I've had people that say, I don't want even life-sustaining nutrition. Just let me go. And that's, in my opinion, and maybe Dr. Trammell can speak to this, I think that's akin to someone starving themselves. It's very difficult, but these are decisions that you have to make, because if your family had to make a decision like that, your family would say what? Feed him till he dies. You better stop, you better get up on this chest and start stomping, stepping like I did with that bad knee. Because like my client, I will knock hell out you if something happens to him, right? So the advanced directive health care really protects that. The will. The will is the document that says, I am speaking from the grave. I'm speaking from beyond. Now you have people that do tricky stuff, like they'll put their will on a video and say, aha, you're looking at this, I'm gone. Yeah, you can do tricky stuff like that, but then it may get challenged. So, I will tell y'all, he told y'all I was from Carbon Home, but born and raised, I'm a Grady baby. And Coca-Cola tastes a lot better than this well. Mmm. You said water? Now you're just being disrespectful, bro. But the will is speaking from beyond. There are elements of a will that must be in place. Who you nominate as your executor, or administrator, what you're giving away, where it is, what your directions are with respect to your debt. Pretty much. You can essentially handwrite your will. There is no law in the state of Georgia that after you've completed your will, and people get confused by this, that says that you must file it with the courts. Now, Chief Judge Kenya Johnson certainly will allow you to file it under seal with the court for a small fee. And then they will keep it there, and then directions will be given to your family. If something should happen to me, my will is on record at Fulton County or DeKalb County probate court. Nobody ever told me how much time I had. I'm just up here talking. How much time I got? Y'all probably ready for me to sit down already.
How much time do you want?
All right, I won't be long. I won't be long. I will not be long. So it's important for you to note that you don't have to file your will, but wherever you do with it, make certain that you let the people who you know and love know where it is. Because if you don't, and all these other wheels start popping up, I've seen that too. Because once you're deceased, my mom always say, devil comes with death. Is it true? Now, I know that's my mama, but I say I'm here to talk to the brothers, right? So the devil comes with death. So when someone dies and their will or their directives are not in place, you're leaving it to the people who you left to decide what happens to your stuff. And that may not always be what you want. It may not be what you always want. You might have that child that you ain't seen in 117 years come back and say, that was daddy. That was daddy. So please, we do wills, and I will commit to make myself available to send each of you, at least at no cost, a will checklist. Because if you have a will checklist, you can actually, it's like a fill in the blank. Now, if you want me to use to prepare your will, you can send it back to me, then we'll have a different conversation. But I will send to you with the question, without question, a will checklist. I at least want you to see what it looks like and not be intimidated by it. Like I was to get all these teeth redone. Oh, this hurts. But I will tell you, in addition to your will, there's a thing called a trust. Anybody heard of trust? Of course, we've heard of trust. This is a good group of educated brothers. I'm glad that. So now, who believes that a trust is better than a will? Who believes that a will is better than trust? All right. So let me ask you, brother, why you say the trust is better than the will? Who told us that? Did she? I'm sorry to hear that, brother. But did it work that way for you? Not so much, huh? Devil come with that, doc. So, Judge, why would you say it will? Now, the judge said so. Y'all know which one's gonna be right. So, so why a will? $11.25. Got it. Okay, perfect. Okay. Oh God.
So,
Hold on, I'm happy to answer it, but do one second.
So because this is so interactive, I wanted to continue until about 11:25, right? So we'll just include the Q&A session, the Q&A time into this session. What do you think?
And if this Wilton run out, it's gonna be earlier than that. Cause you done embarrassed me. I can't drink my Coca-Cola. So y'all got about 3 more swallows. If I do a gulp, it's over. All right, but so thank you, Judge, because you're absolutely correct. But I heard a question over here, then I had 2 over here. Somebody asked about a combination of them. I'm sorry. Give me 1 second.
John W. Smith, are you in the room? I know you're enjoying this, but your brown bag session is now. Someone else will take notes for you. We got you.
All right, so I apologize one more time. Avoiding probate. Are you asking for real property or personal property or both? Deed it now. If you have property, real property, for example, that you want to avoid probate, you got to get rid of it. You got to do a quick claim deed now as it relates to that real property. So if you have a house, you do a quick claim deed. It's one document. And an interesting thing about quick claim deed in Georgia is that it does not have to be signed by the receiver, by the recipient. You can give your house to anybody. They don't even have to say, I want it. I had a guy, I served as a prosecutor for some time, and when I worked as a juvenile court child advocate before a judge, and I remember seeing a guy come and give his house to a city that I represented. And he thought he was slick. He didn't give it to him because he didn't want it. He gave it to him because in his mind, cities don't pay taxes. And he didn't have the money to pay the taxes on the house. So he thought if he gave it to the city, that you would have to pay the taxes on it. So he quick claimed his house to the city. And then 3 years later, when times got better after COVID, he went and represented the city essentially and filed a petition to acquire title against himself, against the city, to give it back to himself. He's still on probation, so no. It didn't work. It did not work. So, but in order to avoid that problem, and let's say you let's say you got a house, and your house is at 1234 Mockingbird Lane, but you got that son that you just not so sure he gonna be all right. As I don't work too hard to lead this boy to his house, and I come back and kill him. The best thing I would say to you is prepare that quick claim deed. If you do not want to have to go through any probate, go ahead and prepare it. And as you would your will, tuck it. But date it for the date that you prepared it. Right? And when they find it, the first thing they're going to do, is that the light? Is that the light I see? Is that the alpha light? That's the alpha light I see over there, ain't it? Alpha Phi, Alpha Fraternity Incorporated. Yes, sir. But definitely prepare that quick claim deed. You can not give it to them, tuck it under a sofa, a couch cushion, or something of that sort, because he may get better, and then he may not. All right? Yes, sir.
So really quickly, before you ask your question, when you guys have questions, raise your hand and I'll come to you with the mic. That way everybody in the room can hear you. All right?
Thank you.
So who did you just call on?
A gentleman here in the blue.
The blue. I'm coming back to you, Doc. All right, I'm making my way downtown, walking fast. Which one of you was it? All right.
Thank you. Is it true that if you got it like this and all this land and you bury someone on your property, that it essentially becomes like a graveyard and you don't have to pay taxes on your property?
How it works, but I got what you don't. That ain't quite how it worked, but I see what he was trying to do. Y'all stay away from him, all right?
Bro, put that shovel down, man.
He sounded like he had somebody in mind.
You think
Yeah.
if you bury somebody in your land, yes, it's going to be deemed a cemetery in the state of Georgia. But I don't know about that tax thing, Doc. And they may come draw a circle around who you buried and say you ain't got to pay taxes on this part right here. But nah, that was a good one though. But don't do it, Doc. It's better ways.
So from what I understand, it has to only be used as a cemetery.
That's correct.
So you can't have them just under the backyard pool and think you're not paying property tax. It has to be designated for only a cemetery.
No, it will be designated as a
Yeah,
cemetery. The
yeah.
state's gonna designate it that way.
Right.
Okay, I'm ready.
We have a question back here.
Okay.
Good afternoon. My name is Larry.
Hey, Larry.
Is it possible, if it's true, that if somebody dispute the will, it can roll it into probate?
Well, any will has to go through probate anyway,
Well, okay.
right?
Uh,
Now, if somebody disputes the will, people have those clauses in there say if you dispute it, you ain't getting nothing,
that too.
right? So I always encourage that because believe it or not, that works. If you challenge it, you ain't getting nothing. You just inherit it, and I've seen that enforced. So, but no, every will has to go through probate. Now, for example, you may have instances where you are own a considerable amount of land, property, and assets, and in that instance, you may decide that you want a will, but your will directs you to your trust, right? So you have a will, and it says, "My will is hereby directed to the trust of Antavius Weems, and the trustee is la 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 la." That means that you've not filed your will and shared with the world your assets because the will is going to become a public document essentially in probate court after you're gone. And your trust protects your assets by virtue of not allowing, am I saying this right, Judge? By not allowing people to have the ability to just peek into your trust, right? So that protection is there. I had somebody over here, then let's go this way.
Slide to you guys. Excuse me, brothers. Where we at?
Okay, will a trust protect your heirs from creditors? You know,
Not really, not creditors of yours, technically,
right?
because they can always file a challenge to it or a claim of sort.
Yeah, for instance, say you went out and bought a timeshare, and
Or a diamond ring.
yeah,
Yeah.
and your heirs, your kids don't want nothing to do with it. You know, I guess it all depends on the laws of different states.
The laws are different in different states, yes, but here I will tell you all, you have to pay your debts even in death, right? But I remember calling my mama from law school, from undergrad when I got in law school, and I said, I don't want to go because I got to, have to pay money for housing. They're going to pay for law school, but I got to pay for housing and stuff. I got to take out loans. She said, boy, you're going to owe somebody till you die. So you just go. Now, what's interesting is that I tell all my clients, and I'll tell y'all, if it's unsecured debt, it died with you. American Express died with you. Visa died with you. Now, if it's something that is secured by your home or some other asset that you might have, you might want to resolve that because they can essentially make a claim against the asset. But the unsecured stuff, what are they going to do? File a judgment against you? Come on. Somebody called for my daddy. I said, he in Lincoln. And I got the address for Lincoln. I just started giving it out. He moved. He already right out there in Lincoln. Go get him. All right, but I got some questions.
I got one right here at the front.
Okay, yeah, where about? Oh, okay.
Could you overview or talk about strategies for long-term care in the absence of long-term care insurance or inadequate long-term care insurance? Because I understand trusts might be part of the strategy.
If you can fund it, but most of us can't fund our trusts. That's why I don't. If we can fund a trust, yes, trusts are an incredible source for long-term care, because once we get older and the money stops, we have to have something that's going to fund our care. And trust will definitely do that if you have assets. But if you don't have assets and you end up having to you live with your daughter or with your grandson, and then they end up having to call granny nannies, that's where we end up most, as opposed to being able to have a trust that's funded to pay for that long-term care. But you're absolutely right. In the instance of a situation where you can fund the trust, meaning that there's something that's coming in to fund that trust, a trust is perfect to pay for long-term care. Sure, sure.
And I'm a layman, so but could you use a trust to take away your assets because they are now in the trust? So therefore, you may be able to qualify for some things that you couldn't qualify for.
So no, because that Medicare has this magical number that they look at. Now, if you've already done it, and it's been, I think, like beyond 6 or 7 years, I think it's like a 5-year, yeah, then you may be okay, but you're not going to be able to do it in this instance to say, I don't own it anymore, because they do a deep dive now. And they will find property that you have interest in. Now, what I say to my clients is, put your property in your name along with a relative's name that you trust. You don't have to put them on your mortgage, but you just do a quick claim, you and Janet Jackson, and you file it, and the home is owned by you and Janet Jackson. All right. So now when Medicare comes, that says that property is encumbered, essentially, and they generally will move on. That's been my experience. Yes. Thank you, brother. I'm sorry. We got one back there. Yes.
Quick question, sir. If your name is a person represented on someone's will, what's the course if a person has to go through probate for that? Actually, the will is completed, but you got to pay the bills, so a mortgage, for example, won't go into foreclosure. What authority does that person represent, and how would that person be able to pay the will, so pay the mortgage, excuse me,
Yeah.
during that time? Like, for example, some states take, 6 months or 6 years, whatever time frame, but a mortgage will eventually go into foreclosure if you're not paying the bill.
Yeah.
So what's the smartest thing for a person representative to do?
We have 2 good judges in probate court now in Fulton and DeKalb County as chief judges. And they've done a great job in not only reducing the time that it takes to probate an estate, but also even in people who don't understand the process. And to that end, and I see your hand, brother, I'm coming over there. And to that point, what they generally will do is for example, in Fulton County, you have walk-in Wednesdays. So if you have any questions such as these today, you literally can walk in, and there are attorneys that she has on staff that will answer legal questions for you at no charge. And a lot of us don't know about it. When I go down there, we're not there. So please take advantage of that. Walk-in Wednesdays at Fulton County Probate Court will definitely be an asset for you. But with respect to your question, if you have an asset, excuse me, if you're an executor to someone who has an asset, it comes up quite often. If a bank will allow you to draw from that person's account, for example, what happens if a person becomes ill before they pass on, you generally can get them to the bank and have them add you to the bank account so that you can pay their bills while they're going through their final illness and thereon. But if that doesn't happen, you're kind of stuck. And you end up as the executor oftentimes paying those bills and then having to be reimbursed by the estate once you become the executor. So the court's not going to come after you if you can show that you did it before you became the executor, as long as you were identified in the will, right? But if you're asking me, is it lawful? Yeah, it's lawful because you have the right to act on behalf of the estate. It goes from bank to bank. It goes from bank to bank. Bank of America, no. Bank of America, no. Regions, I've seen to be a lot more lenient. In fact, with Regions, I've seen them where you can send a copy of your petition in. And as long as it's stamped file, they'll let you start drawing on a limited, depending on the amount of the corpus estate, they'll let you draw on it in a limited fashion. Okay?
Mr. Weems,
Yes.
since you commented about no-cost Wednesdays,
Yeah.
can you expound a little bit more on the affordability of these documents, and do they need to be notarized?
Sure, absolutely. So let's go down through them. The advance directive, I believe it has to be notarized. You would need to definitely have that notarized with 2 witnesses, Judge. Thank you, with 2 witnesses. So your will definitely has to be notarized with 2 witnesses. Your power of attorney does not have to be notarized, actually. I always notarize them. Fred, what's Fred? I would always have my paralegal to notarize them because I think it's just a good practice. And I think you need a witness on it. But there's that.
So we're gonna jump here, and then I'm gonna come back here.
Thank you.
Thanks. Quick question for you. Earlier on, we started this discussion talking about dementia.
Yes, sir.
So you're at the point where that memory is gone.
Okay.
What are the legal parameters or consequences in you now being able or in a condition to say, well, I want to, the will or whatever you want to do, because the mind is going and the kids start saying, well, no, it's me. The wife say, no, it's me. How do you deal with that legal drama?
It really does become difficult because once you get to that point, what happens is the family doesn't think to call the lawyer to find out what they should do until it gets in a gray area where you may not be able to get the guardianship that you may need, because that's ultimately what you're going to be looking for, a guardianship through probate court of some sort, so that you can pay those bills that you referenced. But that's not going to help you after the person passes. But if you have a guardianship, I've seen banks be a lot more lenient after the person passes for a short-term period of time. But the unfortunate part about that is that you have people, for example, I've done wills for people with cancer, and the doctor said they had cancer brain. They couldn't, they shouldn't do the will. And I would say, if, I have somebody call me, I have someone who called me, a family member who called me and wanted to retain me to do their relative's will, but the relative was in stage 4 cancer, and it was blood cancer. And I said, I need a clearance from their doctor to, I can do my test as a lawyer, but I don't want to have to deal with somebody coming in and challenging it. So the first thing I asked for was a clearance letter. And the doctor said they have, in my opinion, they have a cancer brain. They don't have the ability to fully understand what they're signing. Now, here's the difference. If you fully understand what you're doing, but you can't sign your name and you just can do a check mark, is that your signature though? Who says yes? It says no. Yeah, it is. Anything that you intend to be your signature is your signature. And a lot of people don't realize that. I change my signature like 3 times a year.
So
Next
you change it willingly or unwillingly?
It depends on how I feel that day. In fact, now I do it like and my staff will tell you, I had this little Donald Trump signature I've been doing lately. I've been practicing on it. It's like 5 or 6 lines, and then the swivel it back that way. That thing gonna be fire when I finish with it. Hey, man, how you doing?
I'm doing great. How you doing, sir?
Good to see you.
Good to see you. Thank you very much. It's a good session.
Well, thank you.
As I said, as a CPA, I've been in practice for like 45 years, and I see this all of the time. I always tell my clients, I got a lot of clients who come to my office, I have never seen a situation in a death. Almost 90% of the time, there's always a fight. When my mother passed, I had to fight my stepfather to get my house that was deeded to me. But I took 2 years to get it back. So we spent a lot of money in legal fees. I see a lot of that. So a lot of what you're saying, I'd say, is very true. One of the things that I always recommend to people. I just recommended it to one of my best friends, one of my frat brothers the other day, because he has property. He's a dentist. He has properties that he wanted to leave to his 4 kids. And I'm saying the same thing you're saying, that, you know, for 4 people, they got spouses, they got kids, and there's always gonna be a fight. So it's always better before you go to make some kind of decision about what you want to do with it. But that being said, my question really is, I had a client the other day who asked me, someone asked a question about long-term care. They funded a long-term care policy with a permanent life insurance.
How? Oh, was it a whole life where you
Yes,
can
a whole
borrow
life.
from it or cash it
Can
in?
ask me, and when I read the policy that they had, because they had already signed up for it when they came to me, and when I looked at it and I read it, it was almost like a scam. I mean, I think the person that sold them that, the investment company or whatever, the individual, what they said, they knew the individual. And as you know, whole life, they come with a whole lot of fees up front, all that kind of stuff.
Not for that, but how do you ever get to a point where you can borrow against it?
That's what I said. You can't. So that's my point. Is there any way to get out of that for them?
Yes, yes.
Because I didn't know what to tell them.
So when you say get out of it, for example, if they've contracted with a personal care home or some other service, I would imagine you would call your lawyer and have your lawyer to send a letter with a copy of that document sharing that you've been a victim of fraud. Or you can send a letter in saying you've been a victim of fraud with a copy of that contract. I would encourage you, if you have any numbers on it, such as your social security number, please make sure you redact those, meaning you black it out. But send something in, just making sure that you identify, yeah, you've been a victim of fraud. That's happening a lot. Where what they're doing are these called reverse mortgages, these other wraparound mortgages that they do. For example, I would tell you, I live in, yeah, I'll tell y'all ain't gonna come around about me. So I live in historic Collier Heights. Y'all know what it is? So, and in historic Collier Heights, y'all know that's what, y'all got a little money, so y'all moved over there with swimming pools and tennis courts and movie stars. So, but there are a lot of people who lived in historic Collier Heights that I've learned, particularly women who did not have children. And what's happening is they pass on and the house just sits there. And we're representing the city of Atlanta on issues such as blight, abandoned, and dilapidated properties, because what happens is when people see it, if it's on a road like Waterford, which is a thoroughfare, you likely may not see it unless it just sticks out because it's a thoroughfare you're going straight through. But if it's on one of those streets where people are living on and they're like, this house, nobody's been in there, you find that people, they go in there and they just pillage. So, and they squat. And so what happened is we'll go to the property to identify. We've gotten a complaint from a neighbor saying Miss Maddie died 5 years ago, and we called them children. They came over there and sent by Miss Maddie's house. Because y'all know that's how I go, right? And then we go up there, and you go in the front. It looks unkempt, but it doesn't look like somebody's broken into it. And then you go back to the back, and the whole thing is open. And then you step in and you look, and it's been ransacked. And you go, and what the thing that really struck me is that I went into the bathroom and the towels were still folded on the little rack over the toilet. The medication was still on the nightstand next to the bed. It showed that somebody lived there, and it's almost as though she went to work and just didn't come back home. And nobody came to see about her stuff because she had no children. And that's happening far too often because Atlanta, the baby boomers, a lot of y'all like to do it. And y'all don't like wear condoms because that's just y'all generation. But a lot of the women, they didn't have children by choice. And they ended up, they became successful. They bought these properties, and then they passed, and the family is either uneducated on knowing how to take it through probate, and they just get frustrated with the process and don't want to deal with it. Or they'll have that cousin say, oh, I know what to do. I know what to do. I got a lawyer I can call, and then it just never happens. Don't let that happen to your stuff because you work so hard for it. Because if you don't, then that's all your assets and your money gonna go to Wells Fargo Foundation, and they're gonna give it away to 50C3s, the 50C6s in Fulton County. That's what's gonna happen.
Got one right here. You can stand up for me.
Could you explain and clarify? Could you explain and clarify irrevocable credit?
I can't.
I mean, irrevocable trust and vocable trust, and one use one versus the other.
Now, I will tell you the definition, but I can't explain it essentially because it's really detailed and it's specific. Irrevocable trust means that you have to go through a process. You can't just say, I want this trust, and then I'm going to take it away, right? I'm going to use it to fund it, and then I'm going to get mad at the people on it, and I'm going to say, no, I don't want no more. And irrevocable trust means you can do just that, essentially.
I got one over here. While I'm walking over there, I asked you another one. My mother paid, she was a victim of the reverse mortgage. And I didn't know until she lost her house that she had paid 17 years on just interest, zero principal. Wells Fargo did that for all of you, Wells Fargo.
Who I just said we're going to spend their money?
Yeah, they gonna chase. So they took the house. Then they sold it. So from what I understand, once they take the house, they can only sell it for what it's owed, what's owed on it. That portion of money that's left over, talk about that. Where is that at?
Absolutely. That's called surplus. And right now, I have a person who I represented who purchased Benjamin E. Mays' house while he was still alive. And a considerable amount of his first editions are still in the basement. His horseshoe desk is still in the house. And Morehouse has been sending letters, to them for the years, I guess, trying to get some of that stuff. But she died, and she had no children. She only had one niece. Her niece had one son. Her niece's son is autistic. Her niece died before she did. So now you have a 37-year-old autistic man with all his assets. What happens to it? What did it do? Somebody suggested, and I thought this is not the right thing to do, but sell that house and put him in a personal care home and go on with your business. That just didn't feel right because I don't think that's what she would have wanted. Because she said to me, when I close my eyes, everything goes to the boy. Everything with those books. She left me all those books. And I tried to give them to Woodruff, but Woodruff is not accepting books any longer. They said they're going to a digital format. Y'all know that? I knew it. It's always them Q on something about that house. About that house. But you got this alpha right now. Yes, sir.
Can you have more than one grantee on a quitclaim deed?
Yes, yes. Now, but that's interesting. It's very tricky. It's a great question. Because let's say that you have Janet Jackson and Michael Jackson. Y'all, I love Janet Jackson. And I got quick question, quick story. So I represent the Braxton family, Tony Braxton, and a lot of people do that. That's their. I like Tony, right? But she's like a sister. But Janet Jackson, Dr. Trammell will tell you, that's it for me. That's it. That's it. You want to see me use this bad knee again? Take me to see some Demeter Joe. But I'm sorry, what was your question?
God, dog. Look at that. Look at that. Unbelievable. He asked, can you have more than one grandkid on a quitclaim deed?
Is that an example of memory?
Oh, yeah.
Yes, yes. You can have more than one person on a quitclaim deed. But be very careful when you do that, because let's say that you do have Janet and Michael on that deed. Let's say that you want Janet to ultimately end up with the house if something happened. and you put Janet and Michael equally, but you put nothing beyond, then the courts are going to assume they could assume that was with right of survivorship or maybe not. So in the event that Michael passes before Janet does, and you have not placed on that document with right of survivorship, then that half that Michael had is going to go to Michael's heirs. And now Michael's heirs become equal to Janet, and they become co-tenants in common. You can't say that in the deed itself. That's your will. That's your will.
So all of those documents talk to each other.
The wheel is the quarterback, or the conductor. It's telling everybody where to go, everything what to do.
How you doing?
Hey.
Thank you for this presentation. Very
Thank you.
informative. My parents are both deceased. They have a home in another county here in Georgia. And the home, allowing someone to stay in it, to keep it up, maintain it. Is it advisable for my own protection to put it on like an LLC for any type of legal actions or that may ensue if someone falls or hurt themselves on the property?
Yes, if it's not your primary residence, even if your primary residence, if you are concerned about that, yeah, put your property in an LLC or something else, because the LLC stands for Limited Liability Corporation, right? So you can definitely do that. You're dealing with that same 5-year look back, but if you put it in a corporation and you're trying to do it for that purpose, don't list yourself as the president of the corporation, right? Or even the registered agent, because they're gonna say, you just did this to shield yourself. All right.
Awesome. Fellas, I'm so sorry. We have time for one more question. It is back here.
I'm sorry, y'all. That dang Janet Jackson.
Will you be available? Will you be available for more questions if the gentlemen want to come and see you after?
Absolutely.
All right.
Mine is real quick. It's a revisit to your comments about bank statements. So it's pay on death equivalent to adding someone to your account.
Does pay on death still exist? Banks
Yes.
still use it like they used to?
Yes, they do.
Because pay on death is equal to, you're asking, is it equal to what?
To adding someone to your account. So if my account, someone's listed as pay on death, I go in the hospital and then my bill needs to be paid, can they pay?
No, I get it. I get it. So to answer your question, honestly, pay on death, they're going to dump their account out and close it. Normally they dump the account and close it, because pay on death means this is where I want all my residuals. It's almost like a beneficiary, right? Like when you do your checking account, you name a beneficiary now, right? So, I mean, everything has a beneficiary. Facebook now has a beneficiary. So you name a beneficiary, but your issue is going to be, do you want this account, all the money to be given to this person, or are you asking that your bills be paid? Because if you trust that person like that, so be it. No, you're not dead.
You're not dead. Yeah.
No. I can't hear you.
Hold on one second, gentlemen. Let him speak.
But no, you're not dead. So pay on death is just what it says, pay on death. But
you answer your question? So how do your bills get paid? Is that what you're getting to? How do your bills get paid if you only have a pay on death and nobody's attached to your bank account?
It's the same as I said to this gentleman here. You got to either pay it, have someone pay it, and then essentially be reimbursed by this state. All right. Well, listen, this has been an incredible opportunity. I thank you guys so much for allowing me to come. I will definitely stick around. If not to do anything but to shake each and every one of you brothers' hands, man, because I want to be where y'all are, sitting here retired, chilling, doing what I want to do when I want to do it. So thank you.